Hi, friends. Today I'm going to talk about an amazing book called Superhuman Social Skills by Tynan. Some of the big ideas in this book are people will decide how much time to spend with you primarily based on how they feel when they are around you. You want to be the person who any of your friends can introduce to anyone they know and be sure that it will make them look good. To stand out, find positive attributes that most people don't have and then build them. How we portray ourselves to others will define the experience of who we are. Being a net addition is different than just not being a net negative. Being simply neutral is often a negative, as you are taking up an attendance slot that could have been used by someone else who could have been an addition. It's important to proactively add to social situations. Build a social circle that will both challenge and support you, depending on what you need at that time. We change all the time, usually in imperceptible increments. So, why not guide that change? The goal is to build a social circle that will both challenge and support you depending on what you need at that time. One of the main ideas in this book that I like the most is there are four main channels being communicated on at all times: content, meta, emotion, and status. Content is what we think of when we talk about communication superficially. Meta communication is the undercurrent of the conversation. It's the meaning behind the meaning, the implication. Sometimes meta can be read in isolation, but it usually requires context. The emotion channel is more of a passive signal than an active channel. And last, the status channel is constantly sending out clues about what our relative status is. A master of communication must be able to have two major conversations: content and meta, while maintaining two minor conversations: emotion and status. The meta channel may be the most important of the four. The key thing to understand about meta channel is that it's running all the time. The point of meta channel is that it allows for shades of grey not afforded by the content channel. Communicating on the meta channel also allows people to save face. The first step to communicating on meta channel is to constantly ask yourself why people are saying the things they say. By making predictions and checking their accuracy later, you will begin to calibrate your brain. Think about what you would like to communicate and decide whether it's better to do it on the content channel or the meta channel, which will make the other person feel more comfortable, which will give you more options, which gives them more options. A lot of conversing is taking the other person on an emotional journey. You think about where they are emotionally as well as where they want to be, and you use the emotion channel to guide them there. or keep them there if they want to stay in the same place. When you join a new friends group, you want to understand the hierarchy. As an outsider, it's important to maintain the harmony of the group and not disturb it. Understanding someone's status is understanding how they view their place in the world. A lot of status is communicated non verbally with body language and eye contact. Talking about high status conveys low status. Vocal tone also communicates a lot about status. Much of status is about what you will and won't accept from yourself and others. That can't be faked, but it can be changed. Disagreeing with everything is even worse, but expressing your opinion in a clear and appropriate way conveys that you have the ability to think for yourself, even in the presence of strong outside influence. You will be given respect for doing this. Beware of what others are communicating on the status channel and avoid mannerisms or habits that accidentally convey lower status. When you are introduced to someone or put into a social situation where people don't know you, your first goal should be to convey as quickly as possible what makes you interesting and worth knowing. First impressions are made quickly and endure as subconscious biases for a very long time. Your primary tool for conveying who you are and making people interested is through your stories. When someone's getting to know you and you want to become friends with them, choose a story where the details highlight your positive attributes. When telling a story, you should have three primary phases in order: the setup, the build up, and the payoff. If you don't feel like you have a lot of interesting stories, a good exercise is to take a sheet of paper and write the letters of the alphabet down the left slide. Then come up with a short description of a story that begins with each letter. There is an important rule that must be observed during all conversations, especially those involving banter. Always give the other person an out. In every conversation you have, you should maintain eye contact 80% of the time or more. Studies show that while controlling for other variables, eye contact causes people to like and trust each other more. Your goals in a conversation are to make sure the other person enjoys themselves, to allow them to learn about you, and for you to learn about them. When you're taking conversational responsibility of a group, it's your obligation to make sure that everyone is involved in the discussion. Remember that there's a difference between someone liking you and someone being impressed by you. Impressing can alienate, but you won't run into any problems making people like you. However, you define yourself, add happy and positive to the beginning of that description and be that version of yourself. People will decide how much time to spend with you primarily based on how they feel when they are around you. One of your top social priorities should be helping others meet their future best friends. Amongst your first thoughts upon getting to know someone should be, who do I know who would love this person? Who of the people I know would they love? You want to be the person who any of your friends can introduce to anyone they know and be sure that it will make them look good. Choose friends not because of what they can do for you, but because you love who they are. One easy way to stand out is to find positive attributes that most people don't have and then build them. Be extremely vigilant about when you tell someone that you are going to do something. Make it a personal goal to follow up as soon as possible and never fail to do it. If you are consistent, honest, even at the risk of inviting disagreements, your friends can trust everything you say, including the good things. Honesty takes bravery because it makes you vulnerable to criticism from others. A leader has one main function: to further the interests of the group.